First of all, please allow me to introduce the minister and the guests attending the first meeting. 首先，请允许我隆重地为大家介绍第一轮会议主持人和与会嘉宾。马来西亚马来亚银行集团全球银行业务主管 ，Group Head of Global Banking, Maybank Group, Malaysia。达托穆扎法尔西沙姆 ，Dato Muzaffar, Hisham。几内亚共和国投资与私人与公共伙伴关系部私营部门促进国家主任 ，National Director of Private Sector Promotion, Ministry of Investments and Private Public Partnerships, Republic of Guinea。班巴奥里亚诺 ，Bamba Oliano。阿斯塔纳国际金融中心管理局北京代表处负责人 ，Head of the Representative Office of Astana, International Financial Center Authority in Beijing。蒂莫尔马里科夫 ，Timur Malikov。菲律宾经济区管理局局长 ，Director General Philippine Economic Zone Authority， 查理托 B 广场 ，Charity B Plaza。接下来，让我们有请主持人、双边部总干事、中国国际商会合作商业。Director General Department of Bilateral Cooperation, China Chamber of International Commerce. 吴蒙 H.E. 吴蒙。
这酒的事有一
Okay,
个代
finally we got all the speakers. 各位嘉宾、各位代表，当今世界正在面临前所未有之大变局。对于广大新兴市场国家和发展中国家而言，这个世界既充满机遇，也存在挑战。中美贸易争端，世界经济不确定性日益突出，自由贸易框架处于一个临界点。什么贸易协定对各国最有效，并挽救自由贸易框架？全球商界面临的挑战和机遇是什么？下面我们有请各位发言嘉宾。第一个是达托莫扎法尔希尔萨姆，来自马来西亚梅班克集团全球银行业务集团主管。第二个发言嘉宾是班巴奥利亚诺，来自几内亚共和国投资和公共公司伙伴关系部私营部门促进司司长。第三个发言嘉宾铁木尔马利科夫，来自阿斯塔纳国际金融中心管理局驻北京代表处。第四位是查理托先生，查理托女士来自菲律宾经济区管理局总干事。下面有请第一位发言嘉宾介绍他的看法 ，please。
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very good morning to members of the participant. First and foremost, I would like to thank World Chinese Economic Forum for having me for this great opportunity in Hangzhou to discuss the trends of the global trade. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe a few minutes, maybe I just want to highlight a couple of things under the current trend. It is a bit unfortunate at this current part of uncertainties of the current global economy due to the current uncertainty of the global trade. And I'm not going to touch anything about the politics of the negotiations of the trade, but what I felt the members of the audience and the current state of businesses, the private sector and the policy sector need to be aware. We need to embrace within this short period of time, or rather the next 2 to 3 quarters or a year, a position whereby it will be an infinite game of this current state of the uncertainty of the global trade. And this current infinite position of uncertainties is how we need to navigate, not only from the business side of it, but also from the policymakers or the government side of it. This morning, I would just like to highlight on 2 items. Number one, from the perspective of financial institutions, banks like us, in embracing this current state of uncertainty, and how we navigate together with our clients this current state of uncertainty of the global trade. The first challenge that we always foresee is what we call the balancing between the growth that we always see over the last 4 years versus the sustainability that we are embarking for the next two years or so. This is the hard conversation or the hard debate that we have with our clients and also from the banking perspective. Growth versus the sustainability of the current climate. For banks that we are now looking at reviewing various of our portfolios, for example in Maybank, not only in terms of our global portfolios, but particularly our portfolios of ASEAN. This is where Maybank is serving. We are the only bank that has a presence in all parts of ASEAN, even a branch in Myanmar. When I mean by portfolios review, there's 2 items usually for financial institutions to take a look. Basically, one what we call a concentration risk, and the other one is how do we plan our capital and capacity, our risk appetite moving forward. From the business sector part of it, this is an opportunity because different banks, different financial institutions will have a different part of risk appetite based on the current climate. And this is an opportunity to look at the various position of your investments moving forward, not only in China, but across in ASEAN as well. Point number 2, I'd just like to share with this current trade uncertainties, this is an opportunity for the private sector and also from the government sector to really further enhance the conversation of how we can open its borders and its businesses, in particularly like in Malaysia or in other parts of ASEAN. It's not that what I mean by more conversation and the devils is in the detail, whereby the private sector and the government sector needs to identify what are the roadblocks in doing that cross-border businesses. For example, immigration, for example, opening up offices. There are still, in my conversation with our clients, some policies that need to be moved faster a bit in order to have a better cross-border investments between China in particular and in ASEAN. I think that will be the future for policymakers to grow in terms of particularly in the One Belt, One Road initiative that we looked at. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to highlight on 2 parts this morning in the part of the conversation. Number 1, the challenges of financial institutions looking at this current state of uncertainties, the balancing between the rapid growth that we are going to see, but the sustainability of moving forward for the next couple of years. And number 2, more and more important dialogue between the government and the private sector to ensure enhancement of open up cross-border transaction, cross-border businesses, in particularly in this context this morning between China and ASEAN. Thank you very much.
Mr. Oliano.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the International Strategy Institute for the invitation extended to my country, as well as the staff for their efforts to make our stay here as comfortable as possible. I'm very, very happy and honored to be here at the 11th World Chinese Economic Forum. As to the topic of this panel, we can all agree that China and the USA are the world's largest economies. So a trade dispute between those two countries would have a negative impact on the rest of us. In fact, it could actually slow down the world economic growth. Yesterday I was watching CNN and I could see that the stock market was basically getting nervous about this dispute and any announcement, any declaration related to this dispute. The increase of the tariffs at the US border for Chinese products will automatically lead to a decrease in the production of those Chinese goods. That means for African countries that import the raw material for making those goods, it means that the business will also decrease. So that is a ripple effect that we will be having for African countries and also some Asian countries. But on the other hand, these tariffs on the border for Chinese goods is also an opportunity for countries that export to the markets, the US market, because there will be a kind of supply gap on the US market. So those countries will become more competitive. Within the context of Africa, we have the so-called African Opportunity and Growth Act, commonly known as AGOA, which basically grants eligible African countries to access the US market duty-free for thousands of products, as long as those products are made in Africa. What does that mean? What we are also seeing is that China will be looking for new destinations for the investment. And I do believe that Africa is a good candidate. And that's for several reasons. The first reason is the long-lasting relationship that we are seeing between China and Africa. Today, China is the #1 partner of Africa. I was reading yesterday that the estimation of the Chinese investment and buildings in Africa is around 1.2 trillion US dollars, which is massive. And Chinese investment are continuing to flow in Africa. In my country, the Republic of Guinea, we've recently, like 1 or 2 years ago, signed a bilateral agreement for $20 billion in order to develop our infrastructure in exchange of mining products. To be more specific, I'm talking about the bauxite products. Africa is also known for its abundance in natural resources. It contains 90% of the world reserve in platinum and cobalt, half of the world gold supply, 75% of the coltan reserve. My country only holds the largest reserve in bauxite. The demographic dividend is also a significant asset in Africa, as the population is estimated around 1.2 billion inhabitants, as large as China. And this population will double by 2050. And the population, 65% of the population is younger than 35 years old. So all these features represent the competitive advantage of Africa to shift on the global value chain from the world provider of raw material and natural resources to handling basically mass manufacturing activities. We can see today that China and other Asian companies are already outsourcing their industrial activities to some African countries. On top of that, there is also a kind of proliferation of the special economic zones and industrial hubs, which kind of undermine the infrastructure issues and challenges that we are facing in Africa. Last but not least, the African Union Organization is also working on an ambitious agenda for 2063 that seeks to further unify the African countries with an African e-passport coming up, a common market, a free trade area for the 54 countries in Africa, which will represent 1.2 billion customers, and probably a common currency. The common currency is already happening in the west part of Africa with the currency ECO, and all of this basically is to make Africa more competitive on the global scale and attract more FTI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Malikov.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Timur Malikov, and I represent Astana International Financial Center, which is the new established special financial zone in the middle of Kazakhstan, which is the center of Eurasia. We prepared a short video about our financial center, and I hope you can see it now.
The Astana International Financial Center opens the door to business in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. Kazakhstan connects China in the east and Russia and Europe in the west. The AIFC is an ecosystem that serves business, helps to adapt to the Kazakhstan market, protects the interests of investors, regulates the fintech market, and operates in an autonomous jurisdiction based on English common law. The financial center has already registered hundreds of companies from more than 30 countries, including major financial institutions such as China Development Bank, China Construction Bank, investment banks Wood & Co, and CICC. The center also has agreements with all financial regulators at PRC. The AIFC continues to work in close collaboration with leading Chinese financial institutions on creating a platform for financing and structuring projects of the Belt and Road Initiative. The AIFC is the center of the initiative in Central Asia. In less than a year of operation of the Astana International Exchange, major shareholders, of which are the Shanghai Stock Exchange and the Silk Road Fund, the amount of equity capital raised more than $70 million. For the first half of 2019, the total stock market capitalization amounted to $1.9 billion. The most attractive sectors of the economy for investment are medicine, banking system, agriculture, transport, and development. The AIFC is working to ensure international transport accessibility. Direct flights to Shanghai, New York, Singapore are planned to be launched in the nearest future. It is planned that all foreign airlines will be provided the 5th degree of freedom of air for flights to priority financial centers. The Digital Resident Program allows investors to register their companies in the AIFC ecosystem without the need for physical presence in Kazakhstan. The AIFC provides its services internationally, helping foreign capital enter the market without bureaucratic barriers. The AIFC Management Board is chaired by the President of Kazakhstan. The Prime Minister is the Deputy Chairman of the AIFC Management Board and is also an investment ombudsman. Welcome to Astana International Financial Center. Welcome to Kazakhstan.
Okay, as you can see from this video, we are the kind of special economic zone for financial services in the middle of Kazakhstan, and we have some benefits for financial services, which is, first of all, we are based on our legal system based on principles of English common law. We have independent court, independent arbitration, and our own regulator. So it's kind of totally independent country inside the country. Also, we can provide tax exemption for 50 years for any kind of investors and financial companies. And our 6 core pillars is private banking, corporate banking, Islamic finance, green finance, fintech, and asset management. So, in case if you have plans to develop any kind of project in Kazakhstan or Central Asia or former Soviet Union region, we could be the best platform for you to start your business in Kazakhstan. Talking about trade uncertainties, I want to say that, of course, current situation affects Kazakhstan and its trade. First of all, because we are still heavily dependent on oil prices, because oil and gas about 60% of our export. So any kind of any problems in the world economy make these prices very volatile, which is bad for our economy. But the thing I want to say that current situation also bring us some new opportunities to develop our trade and to diversify it, because now we could find new products, new opportunity to export, for example, our agriculture products to alternatives, especially China and I hope Southeast Asia countries. So the thing I want to say that it depends on us. If we could make our economy, our trade more effective, we could achieve any kind of goals. And the current situation in the world trade just would make us stronger. So everything depends on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charito Plaza?
Thank you. May I introduce myself? I am Director General of the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, Director General Charito Plaza. My agency is the biggest economic zone authority of the country, and we invite investors who are into different types of economic zones and different types of industries, because we are promoting an environment-friendly industrialization and transforming our economic zones into green, healthy, sustainable, and smart economic zones. So our economic zones in the Philippines are of different types. 2 types, for example, is the vertical ecozone. These are buildings where we invite private owners and government buildings to become IT centers. So we can invite IT industries and BPOs all over the world. We are right now the #1 call center of the world. And the other type of economic zone is the horizontal economic zone. These are lands owned by private individuals or by the government, so that this is where the industries will be located. So only economic zones registered with my agency, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, and the industries could either be 100% foreign-owned or Filipino-owned, has to be located inside the registered economic zone to enjoy our incentives. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority is recognized by the IFC World Bank as the #1 or the economic zone which has the best practice among the economic zones worldwide. The Philippines is best to invest, especially with the ongoing US-China trade war. China specifically is the closest to the Philippines. And we enjoy the GSP Plus, which means General Systems of Preference, which means therefore that all industries, foreign and Filipino-owned industries all over the world who will bring your investments to the country and will manufacture or produce crops and other products that are destined to Europe, to the US, and in the ASEAN nations will enjoy zero tariff. Among the incentives that we provide our investors is an income tax holiday, which means if your product is new to the country, you will enjoy 8 years without tax. And if it is non-pioneer, we will give you 6 years, zero tax. After the income tax holiday, our investors will only pay 5% of the gross income earning after deducting the allowable deductions.
你们这边几个人说话？
Once you bring your machineries, equipment, and spare parts and raw materials, you buy it from other countries or you import it to the Philippines, it will enjoy zero tariff, or it is tax and duty free. And once you buy local supplies, equipment needed for your production, you will also enjoy zero VAT, including your power and water and telecommunications bills. Our economic zone in the Philippines is of different types according to the land potential and the resources of that land. Because we want to protect the environment, so if the land, for example, is agricultural, we only allow food and agriculture-related industries to be located in our economic zones. If the land is timberland, we only invite those who are into paper industry or wood-based industries in our agroforestry economic zone. We also have defense industrial complexes, meaning we're inviting defense industries who are manufacturing military aircraft, seacraft, weapons, and all that the military and the defense and the police would need. We also have mineral processing economic zones because we are the 5th mineralized country in the world. So we're inviting mineral processing industries to go to the Philippines and process different types of finished products from our minerals. So we are in need now of the steel industry, for example. We need also construction materials manufacturing industries. We are also inviting industries who are into tourism because we have tourism economic zone. We have a lot of tourist destination in the country. So we invite those who will build resorts, theme parks, wellness and naturopathy villages, and retirement villages. Also, we have aquamarine economic zone. These are the fishing grounds of the country. And we invite those who are processing fish and other marine products. We also have knowledge, innovation, science, and technology parks. So we are inviting industries all over the world who will invest on knowledge, who will invest on innovation, on science and technology projects or products. So in the Philippines, my agency is a one-stop shop. We also provide visa for our foreign investors, including your immediate family members, and we allow you to bring 5% of, at least 5% of the total workforce to be employed in your company, and we also provide them the visa. So we provide a one-stop shop, meaning all the permits will be issued by my agency so that you will be spared from the bureaucracy, dealing with different agencies from the national to the local government. So it is only my agency who will issue all the permits. So we guarantee you the right to remit your profits in your country, to pay your debts. We also guarantee you the right to repatriate your investment. The Philippines right now is enjoying a lot of advantages. Number one, our Philippine workforce are the most sought after because we have the youngest workforce in Asia. We also have an English-speaking workforce, and we are known for our character traits as friendly, hospitable, and very helpful. That's why most of our foreign investors consider the Philippines as their second home. We only have two types of weather, the sunny and the rainy, so we can plant the whole year round. And we also have very fertile soil, meaning we can plant all types of crops. And also, because of our location, we are located at the center of Asia and the Pacific. We are the nearest to the whole world. That's why all the superpowers of the country are very much interested to become an ally of the Philippines. The Philippines, we have now President Rodrigo Duterte, who for the first time espoused an independent foreign policy. Meaning, this is the first time that the Philippines is now inviting everybody in the world to invest in our country. So friends, investing in the Philippines will be a big advantage, especially for the Chinese investors, because we have almost 1/4 of our Filipino citizens have Chinese descent. We have 10 million Filipino Chinese whose forefathers and ancestors came from China. So if you invest, the Chinese investors will invest in the country, you will not make any difference because you look alike the Filipino Chinese in our country. That's why we treat our Chinese investors as our cousins, very close to the Filipinos because of our historical ties and our blood relations. So we invite everyone in the world to come to the Philippines. This is the country where you will feel at home, a country of beautiful men and women, and a smiling race, a very friendly race, very hospitable and very helpful. So welcome to the Philippines. We look forward to further the investments in the Philippines, in China, and in the whole world. Thank you. Mabuhay.
Thank you for sharing the view. Today we have around 1,000 participants from around 28 countries. So we can take some questions from them. 大家如果有提问，可以向台上的4位欢迎嘉宾进行提问。Any questions?
Uh, 我刚才听到菲律宾的嘉宾，有在说菲律宾也在发展这种旅游经济特区。我想问一下，旅游经济特区的那个政策和您刚才讲的那个政策是一样的吗？然后另外的话就是，如果是华人去到菲律宾的话，语言交流方面会不会有一些障碍？谢谢。
Question is, they know that you also have a development zone of tourism, and the policy in the tourism development zone enjoined is similar as the economic zone, and they say that the other question is, since in Philippines you speak different language, for the Chinese or to develop in Philippines, the language, is that an obstacle?
The Philippines is one of the major tourism destinations of the world. We have a lot of tourism sites and destinations. So it's We call it also tourism economic zone. The language is not a barrier because we have, as I mentioned, a lot of Chinese in the Philippines who can interpret and who can translate. In fact, we have brochures and information materials written in Chinese that we are going to distribute to everybody here, and in English also. So it's not a barrier, actually. We have a lot of translators or interpreters once Chinese tourists will go to the Philippines.
Any other questions? 还没有其他提问。如果没有其他问题，那么我们下面就请我们的4位发言嘉宾以1句话来总结这次的这个主题的这个第一环节的讨论。One sentence to give the conclusion. Thank you.
I think the trade uncertainties provide still an opportunity. We hear 2 financial centers and economic zone today. So my one sentence would be uncertainty equals to opportunity. Thank you.
So actually it's the same message as my predecessor. This uncertainty doesn't mean bad news per se. There are other opportunities. We need to diversify our investments. And Africa is, like I said, is a great destination. So we are trying to get more and more competitive, and we are trying to have this very favorable business climate in order to receive Chinese and Asian investments. So welcome to Africa. Thank you.
Okay, I'm also agreeing with my predecessors, and I just want to say that the crisis, as I remember, it's kind of Greek word, which means turning point. So we shouldn't think about crisis or some changes like about totally bad things. It's always bring us more new opportunities and push us to work harder and more effective. So I think, and of course, we can achieve our goals only in cooperation with our close neighbors, with countries around us. So this is why we established our financial center, because we want to become a hub, financial hub for Belt and Road Initiative, and we hope that our cooperation with China in the framework of Belt and Road will increase year on year. Thank you.
We in the Philippines always look at crisis as big opportunities for our growth and development. So the Philippines is a melting pot, meaning it's not only Filipinos, but we have various nationalities. Like we have now 78% of our foreign investors, of our investors in our economic zones are foreigners. So number one foreign investor in the economic zones of the country are the Japanese, followed by Americans. We have also Europeans, Dutch, British. We also have Singaporeans, Taiwanese. And we are expecting more Chinese this time because this is the first time that, again, our president is inviting everybody in the world. And China, we can reach China in 2 hours. The closest is Xiamen, Fujian province. So the Philippines is the closest neighbor among the ASEAN of China. So we're expecting more economic zones that will bring more industries from China. And we look forward to a closer partnership, a stronger relationship between the Philippines and China.
Thank you again for sharing view with us. 让我们再次用热烈掌声感谢我们4位嘉宾的精彩发言。第一环节到此结束，谢谢大家。
好的，感谢各位与会嘉宾及我们主持人。Thank you, panelists and moderator. I would like to invite you for a group photo on stage. 请各位在台上留步，我们将拍一组集体合影。Our photographer will capture this very moment for us. Okay, please thumb up, thumb up. 请竖起大拇指。Thumb up.